if you live in Ireland and you know who this man is, but you don't know who this man is, then I've got some very bad news for you. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you have been the victim of state-sponsored propaganda. Let me take you back to November the 23rd of 2023, just a few months ago in fact, when one of the most heinous, evil, despicable acts in living memory was committed at the very centre of Dublin city. 3 young children and their carer were viciously stabbed. Attempted murder. The perpetrator, an illegal Algerian immigrant who had been in Ireland for over 20 years. He'd never worked, he'd lived off the Irish taxpayer, and the government allowed it. And then one day in November, despite having come to the attention of the police previously, he went berserk and attempted to murder in cold blood 3 young children and their carer who tried to protect them. With tensions already running high in the Irish population around the issue of mass immigration, unvetted mass immigration, this event was like someone setting light to the fuse of a powder keg. The public were shocked and horrified, and it quickly led to this. This evil act perpetrated on little kids in the middle of the day, in the middle of the capital city, shocked the nation to its core and was the government's worst nightmare. Their whole policy of open borders, lax immigration control, some would say no immigration control, and refusal to deport all kinds of miscreants and bluffers and shysters and criminals was suddenly out there in full technicolor for the entire public to see. The results of what can happen when you just lose control of your borders, when you don't know who walks among you, and even when you do find out that you have some ne'er-do-wells, miscreants, criminals in your midst who shouldn't even be in the country, you fail to deport them. The city was burning, the population outraged, on a knife edge. The government had a problem. An illegal African immigrant had come to our country, abused our welfare system, abused our immigration system, abused the Irish people, and then had gone on to try and murder 3 little kids and their carer in the middle of the day. Let's just say, from a government point of view, the optics were bad. But what to do? That was the question. Well, let's look at the main players in this little saga. There was Riyad Bouchakar, who, despite having made court appearances, I still cannot find a picture of that I can verify. Strange, no? He was the evil perpetrator of the despicable act. Well, there was no way to sweep that under the rug, and believe me, they do sweep plenty under the rug, but this was just way too big for even the best government operatives to get rid of. Now, apart from him, well, we had 4 main characters in the story. Firstly, we had Leanne Flynn Keogh. She was the carer, she was the teacher in charge of the kids' class at the time. She bravely, heroically put herself between the attacker and the kids, and she got viciously stabbed herself and ended up with multiple injuries and in very, very bad shape in hospital, fighting for her life. Secondly, we had Warren Donoghue, who was passing with his child on a day out for her birthday. He spotted the altercation and immediately ran to the scene, wrestling with the attacker despite the danger to his own life, managing to get the knife away from him. Then we had Brazilian Deliveroo driver Chao Benice. He spotted the altercation, jumped off his motorbike, ran in and assaulted the attacker with his motorbike helmet and also helped in the situation. And lastly but not least, restaurant employee Alain Laurent, a trainee chef, who also weighed in and attempted to stop the carnage. But here's where things start to get very interesting. You see, as I said, the government had a major problem on its hands. Its whole policy of mass immigration was now becoming toxic in the public mind, as if it wasn't already. What to do? Well, as I've often said, most of the government are as dumb as rocks, but they can pay smart people to come up with smart ideas, and they needed a smart idea, and then they found one. What's the perfect antidote to a despicable, evil immigrant? Well, it's the benevolent, heroic immigrant. Don't look here, look over there, people. The mainstream media, the spin doctors, the narrative merchants went into overdrive. All public attention had to be shifted and focused on the good immigrant, the hero immigrant, the kind of immigrant Ireland desperately needs, and needs more of. You might say a star was born. Unfortunately for Leanne Flynn Keogh and Warren Donoghue, and indeed Alain Laurent, they were just out of luck on this occasion. The first two being, well, far too Irish. And although Alain Laurent was a foreigner, he was not exotic enough. They had their man, and their man was João Beniche. He was destined to become, over the next days and weeks, nothing short of a media sensation here in Ireland. And even though Warren Donoghue had been first on the scene and had put his body in the line, as had Leanne, I'm afraid they were just far too Irish. And that just didn't fit the narrative. The media simply couldn't get enough of him. TV interviews, articles written, a GoFundMe set up raising hundreds of thousands of euros very quickly made him a very, very wealthy man. He was even brought to government buildings to meet the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar. Leanne Flynn Keogh, Warren Donoghue, both of whom had put their physical bodies in the way of the knife. Alain Laurent, who had also jumped into the fray, were relegated to the back pages, were barely mentioned, were practically airbrushed out of the narrative. All attention was on the Brazilian Deliveroo driver, the good immigrant, all purposely and deliberately done with full mainstream media collusion to stop you looking over there and make you look over there. Don't think about the despicable, illegal Algerian immigrant who'd been here on the taxpayer's dime for over 20 years. Look at the good immigrant who's the hero of the day. That's the real story, people. The hero. This is the hero. This is who we want you to focus on. And even to this day, I speak to many people, whenever the subject happens to come up, who only know about the Brazilian guy on the motorbike. They don't know about anything else, or that anyone else was even involved. And that's propaganda. Such was the level of intense wall-to-wall carpet-bombing media attention and focus on one of the four heroes, the Brazilian Deliveroo driver, that Warren Donoghue's wife, in, I can only imagine, exasperation and frustration, tweeted out in the days that followed, "I'm sick of seeing stories about the hero. My husband was the first person there. He struggled and got the knife off the man. The on the bike, I assume man, grabbed the knife and ran across the road with it. My poor kids are traumatized, as is Warren. Below is Warren's jumper from the struggle, getting the man away from the child and the knife. The truth will be told. Worst day of my life. My baby's birthday, and I can't get the sight out of my head." Well, yes, Stacey, the truth will be told. And I'm doing my small part to do it. As I said at the very beginning of this video, each of the four people who fought desperately with this evil evil immigrant attacker is a hero. An absolute hero. No question in my mind or any right-thinking person's mind about that. But here's my problem, here's my issue, and here's what boils my blood. When it comes to heroes and heroism in modern Ireland, us Irish are now little more than second-class citizens. We must wait at the back. We must stand at the side. We must wait in the wings. And on this occasion, for Leanne Flynn Keogh and brave Warren Donoghue, who was first in there, stuck his body in the way, wrestled the knife away from the man as he was stabbing, well, I'm sorry, guys. According to our government and the mainstream media, you're just too Irish to be a hero.